our big thing is including financial wellness into wellness. I mean, it's just as important as physical health, mental health, emotional health. Like this financial well-being really does dictate other aspects of your life, and it can have a profound effect on your health in general. And so really kind of harping on that, educating people on that, and providing them the resources to really gain more education and insight into that as a whole is huge.
I am Christina Suter, and this is the Real Estate Breakthrough Show, where we talk about the reality of real estate, the mindset you need in order to face the reality of what it is, and tips and tricks to get you moving forward in investing. I am your host, Christina Suter. I have Savannah Arroyo with me. She is the net worth nurse. Yes, you heard that correctly. She is a nurse who is also a real estate investor and a variety of other things that you will get to find out about. And she was at our FIBI Pasadena meeting. Bronson invited her in. I'm super excited to learn a lot more about her, and she's going to be sharing with you. So let me read her bio real quick here, and then we'll be able to, I want to share her website. So Savannah is a registered nurse in Los Angeles. Savannah is also the CEO and founder of Net Worth Nurse. Her vision is to empower all nurses to take control of their net worth. Through Net Worth Nurse, Savannah has created a community of like-minded individuals, empowering each other to achieve financial literacy and financial freedom. Net Worth Nurse is the premier investment site where nurses come to educate themselves on wealth building strategies. Because if you are a nurse or you are a professional in the medical field and you want to be able to grow your financial freedom, you have a resource. So growing nurses, growing wealth right here, Net Worth Nurse. Now let me read you one thing that stood out to me on their website that I think is powerful and worth you guys understanding. Our big vision is to empower all nurses to take control of their net worth. We see Net Worth Nurse as the premier investment site where nurses come to educate themselves on wealth building strategies. We are a community of like-minded individuals empowering each other to achieve financial literacy and financial freedom. And Savannah, I just want you to launch right from there. Like, what really is the vision? And what occurred to you to be able to say, like, I'm not just going to teach about real estate. I'm not going to offer real estate investments. I'm teaching a new way of thinking in life. I'm making a difference in these nurses and medical professionals' lives.
Yeah, so Net Worth Nurse has definitely evolved for me since I first started it. So originally when I created Net Worth Nurse, it was the goal to have a platform, an educational platform for my real estate syndications to educate my investors. And I realized as I was going out and getting investors for these real estate syndication deals and having a lot of different conversations with nurses and healthcare professionals, I realized there was a huge gap of basic financial information, how to get out of debt, how to pay off student loans, how to even invest in retirement accounts. Travel nurses aren't set up with anything for retirement. They don't even know how to do this stuff. And so as I started having more and more of those conversations, I realized wow, there's a huge need for basic education. And so Net Worth Nurse has evolved into three main pillars: a personal finance pillar, real estate investing, and then career growth as well. And really through those three pillars, we're elevating nurses as a whole, really through courses, coaching, and community, because those are the three things that I used specifically to kind of propel my journey in real estate investing. And so it has definitely evolved, and it's continuing to evolve. I'm very excited about where it's going.
So you said so well. So courses, community, and say it again. Coaching.
Yep.
Coaching.
Yeah. So when I first started investing in real estate, I really didn't have I didn't have any background, no prior knowledge. No one in my family was investing in real estate. And so signing up for courses was number one, starting to educate myself on how to do that through some formal education. I mean, I'm huge with education. I have my master's degree in nursing leadership and administration. So that's always been huge for me. And then, here it is right here, one of our personal finance courses.
Well, I thought it was important because it's personal finance and not just real estate. It's really is core to one developing a financial understanding, because if you don't have a financial understanding, you don't take financial leadership in your life. My opinion, if you don't take financial leadership in your life, then you get what you get.
Yeah.
But if you take financial leadership in your life and you take something like a personal finance course, or you start to understand real estate financing and investment, and therefore you can bleed into your personal finance and leadership through there, then you actually can craft successfully and thoughtfully your own financial freedom, which to me is huge, right? That is like financial freedom is the thing that allows one to be like at the top of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? You get to finally go, whew, it's not about shelter. It's not about food. It's not about, running to a job every day. It's about being able to find greater fulfillment for myself and others. And that's the result of having financial freedom, and having a financial education gets you there.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I love that you mentioned Maslow's hierarchy of needs, because that's something that we harp on nursing school so much, and something that's like a normal part of conversation. I haven't heard anyone else like really throw that out there. So I love that.
Okay, there you go.
But Maslow's hierarchy, I mean, 100% of like our big thing is including financial wellness into wellness. I mean, it's just as important as physical health, mental health, emotional health. Like this financial well-being really does dictate other aspects of your life, and it can have a profound effect on your health in general. And so really kind of harping on that, educating people on that, and providing them the resources to really gain more education and insight into that as a whole is huge.
It is funny because I don't normally throw that out. I think I've done over 500 podcasts now, and I don't think I've ever said Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And yet it's very much in my being, because I'm an advocate for financial freedom and financial leadership, right? So I'm very aware of it. I just don't think I've ever had it actually leave my mouth.
Yeah, you needed a nurse on your podcast to get that out there, I guess.
I clearly needed a nurse on my podcast, right, to be able to get that out there. Yeah. But it is important. Like you stepped back and you've taken this holistic approach of being able to really address, what is financial education and what does it mean? I mean, you're not in this alone either, right? I mean, originally it was you, but now you've got, I think, a partner in it, and you've got some course instructors. So tell me more.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, really, because I invest in real estate through the syndication approach, I'm used to, working with partnerships, and I've just seen the scalability of that, and really more fulfillment in just doing business in general. I mean, my husband and I, when we first started investing in real estate, bought a couple single family homes, and we were going at it that route. And then when we discovered syndications, and we had friends and family that were interested in our deals or potentially partnering with us in real estate. And then as I was going to the hospital and sharing what I was doing with coworkers, the interest really grew. And so we kind of naturally fell into the syndication place just because of what we were doing and the interest from people in our lives. And so we've become really great at working in teams of people. Syndication deals have kind of a pool of investors coming together, some people investing passively, more actively, bringing different skill sets to it, and kind of creating these partnerships and teams to take down the deals. And it's really more fulfilling. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of moving parts working with a lot of people on these deals, but even with Net Worth Nurse, I've kind of taken the same approach of, originally when I came out, I was doing it all on my own, and nurses would kind of approach me and have an interest in what I was doing. And, a couple people approached me with like wanting to do something similar. And to me, I operate always out of an abundance mindset, not scarcity mindset. Like I'm always kind of like, how can we work together to achieve the same goal? And so these people were never really competition to me. It was kind of like, oh, cool. You want to do the same sort of thing? Let's do it. Like, let's join forces and see how we can even go further. And so definitely there's a lot of other considerations that we take, when we're bringing on people into your team. Of course, not everyone's always a perfect fit, but really what our biggest goal is kind of like elevating other nurses that are doing super cool things. Like in our community that we have for the Net Worth Network, we have a whole space where we're featuring what other nurses are doing, other nurses with courses and coaching programs, and other nurses that are like starting their own businesses and becoming entrepreneurs, like a place for us to be able to highlight them and say, look at all these other cool nurses that are doing super cool things to achieve financial independence and financial literacy. And so we've always kind of come at it as a like community approach.
So you have an education.
Mm-hmm.
You have a community, which I was just looking at, right? Where I actually was it's funny because you jumped right to it while I was looking at it, which is, excuse me, the Net Worth Network.
Yeah.
Right. And then, but you also have you also happen to also teach real estate.
Yep. So the coaching piece, I mean, that's our other C, the
Okay.
courses, coaching, and community. So the
Yep.
coaching was really important for me when I was going through it. I started taking the courses and then started doing formal coaching, just to kind of like have some guidance going into these big real estate deals. When we went out to buy our first apartment complex, it was important for us to bring on a coach to kind of help us guide us through that. And we personally loved that support. It adds a different level of confidence when you're going out and doing real estate deals. And so that's something that was super important for us to provide through Net Worth Nurse, is some, additional support. And we're supporting our nurses really through those 3 C's of courses, coaching, and community, to give them all the tools that they need, the support that they need to go out and make moves.
I mean, and if somebody were to go to your website and look at the Net Worth Network, I love part of what you have there, which is this conversation about how to go from 40 hours a week, right, to being I said PPN, which I assume is some version of a part-time nurse.
Yeah.
But being able to control your schedule and being able to control where you want to go, having like very little money to invest, but having a savings plan that you have in place that's allowing you to build towards your real estate deals and build your portfolio. Like you just seem to really have understood where nurses are now and what is it that they're really looking to move forward to.
Yeah, exactly. And that was because, I was there, I was living it. It was me having my second daughter and being on maternity leave, having to go back to my full-time job because that's what I had to do to earn, living paycheck to paycheck, and needing a source of income, and knowing like, okay, I got to go back to my full-time administrative job as a nurse. And this is what I'm going to be doing until I'm 65 and a half at retirement age. And that feeling of just, handing my 3-month-old daughter over to my daycare lady again, and knowing like I wouldn't have the freedom and flexibility to be super involved in their lives. Like that was a very heavy feeling. And my husband and I sat down and we're like, all right, what do we need to do to create more flexibility? I want to be a part of dance practice and be able to pick them up early and take them to soccer and go to swim lessons and take days off when they're sick without feeling super guilty and all that kind of stuff. And so, that was my motivation to start learning and educating myself on alternative investment strategies. And we stumbled upon real estate. I mean, for obvious reasons, it's one of the best ways out there to grow wealth, and really kind of just started educating ourselves. And like I said, I'd go to work or just share what I'm doing on social media, and started gaining a lot of interest from nurses in very similar places. I mean, especially throughout the pandemic, nurses were almost trapped in their jobs of like, I don't want to be working here without PPE, putting my family at risk, moms with cancer diagnosed, and having to sleep in separate rooms and houses. And it was like, these nurses didn't have a choice. They had no other income to fall back on. They had no other major investments. And then the stock market took a sink at the beginning of COVID. And I saw this huge panic with nurses, and it was so heartbreaking for me to watch. There's some of the most caring, hardworking individuals. And so for me to see them in that place was like, okay, there's got to be a way to kind of fill this gap. And so I've become super passionate about filling it.
I will pause for a moment just to thank you and all the nurses on the face of this planet, because nurses have done nothing. My daughter was sick during the pandemic. So you guys were just, I'm going to cry. Forgive me. I don't normally cry either. You guys were just a profound part of our lives. The nurses that took care of her when we were in the hospital were just amazing, and the care and the kindness and the love and friendship. She needed friendship. And she found friendship with the nurses because she was scared, and you guys were rock stars. You just rocked it out of the park for her. So thank you. Let me say that. Thank you for being nurses. And it's wonderful to see that the nurses, forgive me, the nurses, as I wipe my tears, for those of you who are not watching the YouTube video, I'm sitting here wiping tears out of my eyes. It's wonderful to see that there's this platform where these amazing people who have worked so hard to be good at being able to administer complex drugs and hold to an administration schedule and take her temperature, 4 times a night in the middle of the night to make sure that, it never went anywhere. And just the amazing dedication that you guys have to put up with and put on all day long. And now you guys can use that same temperament and that same education, that same depth of commitment and determination to help yourself move to financial freedom.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And yeah, I mean, and that's something that nurses, the initial conversations I have with a lot of them, they just feel so in the dark of, oh, I can't learn this stuff. It's too dense. How am I even going to get started? And it's almost this discouragement when I see them initially. And I just really have to reassure them that, well, one, none of us were taught this stuff, right? Like
Right.
ever, in basic high school, college courses, none of us learned anything about this. I mean, even when the government gives you $100,000 student loan, they don't even begin to tell you
You
how to
don't.
pay it off or
I
what
know.
this
Here,
means.
here's some money, go to school. Yeah, we're not going to
Right.
tell you how to pay it off.
Yeah, but it's like, unfortunately, it puts nurses in these the bad mental places of feeling inadequate or inefficient when it comes to finances. And so it's kind of a big shift of like the mindset piece of encouragement and showing them, I always remind my nurses, if you made it through nursing school, I promise you can invest. And nurses
Exactly.
they make some of the best investors because they're so organized, they're efficient, they know time management, they get 5 patients at a hospital and they know how to prioritize and take care of each one of them and all their different needs. And they're so smart that I know that they can become great investors. They just need these little tools to help get them started.
I agree 100,000,000%. I've seen nurses on the other side. I've seen, like you said, they're smart, they're prioritizing, they're constantly doing time management, they're efficient, they know how to show up and get stuff done. And that's exactly the same skills you need for real estate, right? If you can learn medically how many cc's you need to give of something or what a bolus is and how quickly it should be given based upon the body weight, like if you can do that calculation, which you're doing for 5 patients every hour, because you're rotating through a lot of, every 4 hours, you're rotating through a lot of rooms, right? Those patients, then you can do the math for real estate. You can do the calculation, you can do the prioritization, right? And so the skill set really does go together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. So now talk to me about Willow. So I'm seeing this on your website. I am seeing that there is the Willow investment. So is that your syndication pool?
Yep. So that's our, my husband and I's real estate business. So we started that really kind of beginning of 2020 when we started doing our syndication deals. And that's where we own and operate our syndication. So we currently are closing on our 4th one. We've done a couple every year since we started. And through those syndications, we're allowing a lot of nurses, healthcare professionals, doctors to get started in real estate investing completely passively, which is really appealing to a lot of the healthcare professionals that I'm working with. It's really created a great partnership with what we're doing.
Yeah, because you guys work really long shifts. I don't know if you've noticed. You guys are really busy.
Yeah.
Really long, full days. Both doctors and nurses, both of you guys work these incredibly 12-hour shifts, 4 days. It's exhausting.
Yeah.
I would think.
Yes. Yeah.
So tell me what you generally invest in. Like, what's your guys' general box that you guys invest in when people can invest with you passively? What are they getting?
Yeah. So we've done, like I said, we're on our 4th one. They're all up in Oregon. And really we just had a great broker up there who we've done all 4 deals with, some great financing teams and property management. And so we have a great thing going up there, which is why we've done the 4 up there. After this 4th one, that closing on, we'll probably jump to a different market just to help kind of diversify for our investors that are repeat investors in our deals. Okay. But we have seen really great returns up there throughout the pandemic. I mean, we're investing in markets with like less than 5% vacancy rates. I mean, the last one we're in is like 1.8% vacancy on the building. That's craziness. So, and really good rental increases on our building. So we're buying really mismanaged apartment complexes, really from owners who weren't optimizing it as a business. They weren't increasing rents. They weren't taking care of expenses, and it's just not running it as efficiently as it could be. And so we're going in there and acquiring these buildings, and we're willing to put in the work.
Okay. So what are some of the efficiencies that you guys put
adding the value by really minor renovations, taking care of some expenses, and then allowing us to increase rents, which we have done on all our buildings throughout the pandemic. We've collected upwards of like 95, 98% rent on all of our buildings throughout the pandemic. So it's proven really resilient, the strategy as a whole, which, I mean, we knew about multifamily, which is a big reason why we invested in it and will continue to invest in it, is really the margins are so large in terms of, a lot less risk as opposed to other real estate strategies and really great returns for ourselves and our passive investors by not really doing a lot in the deal. And so we love the investment strategy, and we've been seeing really good returns on our deals.
So what is it that you guys, so your investors can invest in the passively, you guys take care of the deals, you do the value adds that you're looking for. It doesn't even sound like you're doing deep rehabs. You're really just getting performance on a building that wasn't performing before.
Yeah, one of them, our second one, we did some kind of deep CapEx items. We replaced the roof, did all new windows and doors, some new water efficiency stuff, and then we painted the whole outside of the building. We're in the process of that right now. So that's really cool to see. That one's completely transformed. But really, even through the work we've done already, we've been pushing, hundreds of thousands worth of equity into it through the work that we're doing. So it's already paying off.
Congratulations. So that's good. That's good. So how do you guys, you guys are partners in the deal? You guys are the syndicators. You guys are obviously running the general partner. I was going to say the GC. No, it's the general contractor. You're the GP. You're the general partner. You guys are the general partner in the deals. And so, I mean, it seems like that would take a lot of time. So how big of a team have you developed in being able to be the general partner? You guys probably also invest in your deals. There's got to be more than you and your husband. I'm just saying.
Well, so we have kind of done it. My husband and I are the sole, we're the operating general partners on all four of our deals. I mean, they're smaller type deals, a 12 unit, 24, 18, and a 36 is our last one. So they're, smaller size deals that we're able to kind of take down on our own. And my husband does the acquisitions and asset management. So he's relationships with the brokers, getting the deal. Both of us kind of work on the financing piece just because that's such a big hurdle in these deals, overcoming that thing. So both of us will kind of tag team the financing piece of it. I raise the capital. I'm kind of working on those conversations with investors really all the time, but especially when I have a deal going on, and really regularly communicating, and I do all the marketing for our business. And then he does the asset management. So my husband's overseeing the asset throughout the lifetime of the investment. And together we kind of tag team those duties, those are kind of the major duties in the syndication business. But, we have partnered, obviously we bring on all of our limited partners, our passive investors in the deal. We've had to bring on KPs for some of our deals because we don't meet the net worth liquidity requirements. But in the multifamily world, it's pretty essential that you're bringing in a few people to kind of get these deals done, especially financially. When it comes to a lot of the work and the management of the asset, we're pretty much doing the majority of that. But with the financing piece, because we're still not new, right? We've been doing this for a couple years.
You got four apartment buildings under your belts, but you're not brand new, but still, like you said, the net worth piece. Go ahead.
Yeah. So just kind of trying to overcome those hurdles of my husband and I aren't, we're still young in our early 30s, 2 young daughters, we're growing our wealth, we're not there yet. And so we have to kind of bring on some partners to help us with some of the loan stuff. So that's kind of how we structure the financing for our deals.
Credit partners make sense. Like you said, it's just because in the multi-unit space and in the commercial lending space, if you can bring on a solid credit partner, that makes all the difference in the loan, the capacity to get the loan, the interest rates, who you can get it from. So that makes perfect sense. Okay. So I think I get the basic idea of the structure. I am so glad that you guys are making such a difference in the medical community as far as the nurses. And I suspect there's some doctors in there too. Joining your financial education courses.
Oh yeah. They're my favorite. They love it. Right. Because some of them, I've never even heard of it, but the doctors, most of mine they're pretty investment savvy. And so kind of to get them the point of educating them on investments and then getting them to invest is real quick. Once I start telling them about it, they're like, oh yeah, sign me up. They're my biggest repeat investors, and my biggest referrals are my physicians for sure.
Physicians. Yeah. I'm not surprised, but, okay. So there's that piece. Now, real estate doesn't always go right. Real estate I've been investing for a while, several decades, enough decades to know that real estate doesn't always go right. I have had things go well. I have things go badly. And so it's not really a question in real estate about whether it's going to go badly or not. There is going to be, I had this one person asked Bruce Norris, who's a sort of local expert guru, asked Bruce Norris, so out of all the 2,000 escrows you've done, right? How many escrows did you find, or how many times is it tough? How many times you run into a problem? He says, out of all of them, yeah. So, like 19 out of 20.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's gonna go wrong. You're gonna have to problem solve. You're gonna have to face it. You're gonna have to find a new solution than your original plan, right?
Yeah.
So tell me about a time where it went wrong, because the important part is what you do about it and how do you learn from it, how to grow you up, because that's going to be the real lessons in real estate.
Yeah, I love that you brought it up, because this is something that I wish I was maybe told a little bit more when I started investing. Like these obstacles and hurdles will come more than you think, and you just need to kind of figure out a way to deal with it. But luckily for me, with my background as a nurse in administration and leadership and operations, I was overseeing multiple departments and employees. And people were, from the minute I walked into the hospital, nurses and doctors, and I was getting complaints and problems all day. This technology is not working in the cath lab. This computer is broken down in the GI lab. This over here for the PIC team's not working. So-and-so called in sick. I need to find coverage for this department. So my whole life was revolved around solving problems, putting out fires. And so luckily I kind of had that skill set of be able to, when you're presented with a problem, one, don't focus on the problem. Don't play the blame game. Don't try and, dodge or harp on it too long. It's just like, okay, how do we find the solution? And so my husband and I are really good about that, really, in our lives too. I mean, we have 2 young daughters at home. It's just like rolling with the punches is something we do. And so we know when we take down these deals, even this 36 unit that we're closing up on, we're like, man, does this ever get easier? With each part, like the capital raise, the financing, getting the insurance,
it gets easier, and there's still a whole bucket load of problems.
Yes, but it's just kind of like we're like, okay, what's about to happen next? Like when it's going almost too smooth, you're like, okay, what's about to happen right now? Because this is just like not how it works. But yeah, I mean, we've had things come up. I mean, like you said, and every single deal we've had trying to work through and maneuver. I could go on and on about specific scenarios, but I think kind of the more generalized statement is that it does happen, and really building that resiliency as an investor is kind of the make and break. I've seen investors who get super discouraged or don't even start because they're so focused on all the like, what can go wrong? What can go wrong? This could go wrong. Where if you change your mindset and you're like, all right, my first investment, my second investment, my third investment, things are going to go wrong no matter what, no matter, how much prep you do. And not horribly long and wrong in terms of like losing you hundreds of thousands of dollars, but just like, things that you're going to have to problem solve along the way. And so going into investing with that mindset already, like kind of makes it a smoother transition.
It does. And it really requires it of you. I do want to ask, what's one particular incident that required a nice creative solution and it taught you a lesson as being a better investor moving forward?
Yeah, definitely.
I want the lesson. I'm after the lesson as much as the details.
Yeah. Okay. I shared this at the FIBI one, probably because it's one of my biggest, hardest lessons. And that's we learned in our first deal. But when we were going through that first deal, a 12 unit, when the broker brought the deal to us and how it was advertised was, hey, there's this storage space that can be turned into a studio unit. So that's a huge value add opportunity in a multifamily deal, being able to add an extra unit to the building. That's huge. And so we were vetting it out. We called contractors. Our contractor had an engineer go out there, look at it, said, oh yeah, it's not going to be a problem. We'll be able to convert this very smoothly, gave us some estimates, draw it out. Like we were ready to go. And it was kind of like, all right, cool. Like we're sure we're going to be able to go on this because we're underwriting it. We have investors in the deal. We're really relying on turning the storage space into a studio unit. Oh yeah. Okay, good. We're good to go. Then we close on it and he goes to pull permits on it. Months pass by because pulling permits is a whole deal.
Yep.
And a couple months pass by and he tells us, oh, we're not, we can't do it. The city's not going to allow it.
Sorry,
and it was just,
sorry, we were wrong.
Oh my God. I remember exactly where I was when I got that call. My heart dropped to my stomach, felt like I was going to throw up. My father-in-law was in the deal. Like we had a significant amount of money in the deal. Like it was just like, what, and it was so discouraging because we felt like we were like, what could we have done more? Like, I feel like we asked them all the questions. We made sure, like, we had a coach at the time who was working on this with us, an expensive paid coach,
right?
that, we were like,
Okay.
man, we checked all the boxes. Like, we did everything we could to prevent ourselves from making a big financial mistake. Like, but it was just kind of like, all right, like my husband and I had like maybe a 20-minute conversation of like, all right, well, this is dealt and we need to figure out a plan. And so we went back and it wasn't a paid storage unit before. The manager was using it, or the owner previously. And so we ended up breaking it into 7 storage units that we are now renting to the tenants, and, $70 a month for each of them. There's 7 of them. So it's an extra $490 a month. And that only cost us like $7,000 as opposed to like 30,000 that we were thinking for the studio unit. So we really did kind of come out ahead on this piece, but it was a really hard lesson learned of like, vetting out the appropriate people on your team. Because I mean, unfortunately with that contractor team, we did not feel comfortable moving forward with them with the work at that point anymore. We really had to part ways, and that relationship ended because it was like our trust was broken. I don't know what they could have done to repair that trust, but it was gone, and so we ended up moving forward with a different contracting team. And hard lesson learned.
Moving forward with a new contracting team is a big decision in the
Mm-hmm.
middle of construction. Like, I avoid that as much as possible. I mean, I had one project where I had one contractor who I thought would do inside and outside. And what I did was I narrowed the scope of work so they were just inside. So as soon as they were done with the inside, I yanked them. I put a different team on the outside, but then they fixed anything on the inside that I wanted to have finished. Right. So I ended up switching contractors by waiting for a particular stage. That's a big decision. And it, like you said, it teaches you about being able to vet from the beginning. So how have you changed how you vet your contractors moving forward?
So if any new work needs to be done, looking at the permit, pulling and calling the city beforehand, 100%, just knowing that if we're doing any work, that's something that our contractor needs to be kind of doing, or we do, just to kind of double check. But really kind of interviewing everyone. Like, we've had a property management team that we had to fire because they really weren't running our building efficiently. And that kind of came down to like, okay, maybe we didn't vet them out exactly how we needed to be. Maybe there was additional conversations that we could have had, or additional questions we could have had to kind of like eliminate the miscommunication or misunderstanding that kind of created those issues. But when you're bringing on someone into your team to do substantial work, there should definitely be an interview process, and like even incorporating referrals at this point is huge for us. Like, just being able to double check quickly, like, hey, can we get a name and phone number of someone like you've done work for, just to kind of like, touch base with them. And that goes a long way too.
It does. Financial freedom. What does financial freedom mean to you? And why use real estate to break through to your financial freedom? Because you're teaching this stuff now. Not only are you talking about you're actually inspiring others.
Mm-hmm.
So what does financial freedom mean to you? Right. And why use real estate to do it?
So for me, I mean, kind of like I shared earlier, my kids being able to be around, involved in their lives, and have that flexibility to be just really with them whenever I want. I work, they go to daycare during the day, and I work full time on my business during the week, but there's more flexibility. I mean, last week I was in Oregon for a whole week at my mom's house with my daughters, working there, but I could take breaks with them and go outside and play and do that sort of stuff. And so family is the biggest piece for me for financial freedom, and real estate allows you that, because you can manage real estate and oversee these kind of transactions and manage these assets remotely. You can build systems in place where you can work from the comfort of your home, or really wherever you want, traveling down the road when my daughters get a little bit older, not right now, but that's big for us too. And being able to have the flexibility to do that, or own, short-term rentals in a couple different cities that we love vacationing in, and that are, these short-term rentals potentially bringing us income, and we get to vacation there. So just looking for different ways, like real estate can provide so much flexibility and financial freedom and the life you want to be living.
Savannah, thank you so very, very much. This is Savannah Arroyo with the Net Worth Nurse. How do they get a hold of you if they want to invest in one of your deals, or they just want to join the Net Worth Nurse? I'm sorry, it's limited to medical professionals, the Net Worth Nursing, because I get the sense it's such a powerful resource that it's like, I'm sorry to have it limited.
No, it's not limited. And that's
Okay,
always
good.
That's the number one question I feel like I get. I have people, do I have to be a nurse to join your community? Absolutely not. You know, some people would be like, well, my mom's a nurse or my fiance is a nurse. My sister's a nurse. Can I jump in? I'm like, I don't even need all those relationships. You can jump in, come hang out with us. If you're remotely interested in real estate investing, personal finance, all that good stuff, like we would love to hang out and network with you. So my website, networthnurse.co, that's my website, really the hub of everything Net Worth Nurse is there. I'm really active on social media as well. So Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok. Those are my new ones.
Okay.
But you can find me either under Net Worth Nurse or the Net Worth Nurse under all social media platforms. Love connecting with people there. We have our community up and running, a great place for people to come hang out and learn and network with us. So if you're remotely interested, yeah, reach out. Love to connect.
All right. Thank you, Savannah. This is Christina Suter on Real Estate Breakthrough. Thank you so much for listening in today. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Roku TV, soon to be on Amazon Fire as well, and on Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and a variety of other platforms. And you can find me at christinasuter.com. Goodbye.